I'm Sharon Needles, and you're watching the behind-the-scene footage to my new music video, Hollywoodn't. I wrote this on Hollywoodn't for two reasons. One, after I went on Drag Race, I was allowed to do so many things. I was allowed to do, theater and commercial work, television work, modeling, and fashion design, and it was great. And but the thing with reality television fame is that it's got a pretty quick expiration date. I had 1 year of sitting on my dark, macabre, gothic throne, and but quickly realized that that the soothing Xanax Band-Aid-like feeling of fame is fleeting. When I wrote Taxidermy, I knew it had to be a different sound than my first record, PG-13, and PG-13 was, very tongue-in-cheek. It was very campy. It was basically audio Elvira, and I wanted Taxidermy to be a lot more mature and a lot more moodier. I was in a more moodier state of mind, and there was a time there where I was kind of seeing the bullshit of Hollywood, and that tends to happen when it's all taken away from you. The melody and the way we produced it, I wanted it to sound very much like a murdered 16-year-old teenage virgin at the bottom of a pond that would never be found. Kind of sound like the voices of Laura Palmer, and with similar audio stylings of Lana Del Rey. So when we made the video, I knew I wanted to take that darkness and to convey old Hollywood stories that turned up in tragedy. Originally, when I decided who I wanted to direct this, I didn't think of anyone else other than Santiago Felipe. This is the third video I've worked with him. And the first time we worked together was on Call Me on the Ouija Board, which not only is one of my favorite videos, and full fantasy and full magic and campy and silly. That's what's good about Santiago, and that's what's great about New York is so many creative people coming together to create a fantasy. So and then of course I worked with Santiago on my video Dracula, and we tried to take a much more an adult approach, a much more a higher concept, mature concept, and we failed. We failed. When me and Santi work together, no matter how serious we're trying to be, it always has a bit of dark humor. It has satire. It has nostalgia, and they're campy. And though I try to distance myself from, just being a clown, at the end of the day, I'm a man in a dress, and I think when things are funnier, they're just more entertaining. I really wanted this to tell serious and poetic and disturbing and sad stories of women who met their demise in Hollywood. And I don't think that's what's gonna end up in the can. I think it'll be a mixture of dark satire and cruel humor at the expense of real women whose lives who are unfortunately cut short. I have an obsession with Hollywood, and I also have an obsession with death. When we put those two together, it just came natural to me that we would go for Elizabeth Short, or known as the Black Dahlia, who I think is one of Hollywood's best campfire scary stories. It's the story of a young actress who was found severed in half with a smile carved in her face, and they never found the killer. And I've always loved the story. I never really felt emotionally connected to her, but laying on the green screen, with the carve in my face, just thinking about her, I actually felt really bad for her. And of course, the great Jane Mansfield, who people consider the dime store Marilyn Monroe. She did very similar movies to Marilyn Monroe, but they were a little more tits and ass, made on a much more smaller budget, and kind of made for the poor man to enjoy B-movie erotica. And I love Jane Mansfield. She was smarter than she seemed. She was involved with the Church of Satan with Anton LaVey, and famously met her demise plunging off the cliff of the Hollywood Hills. So I was really excited to portray that in this video as well. And last but not least, we did Sharon Tate, of course, the wife of Roman Polanski, and the very new but very up-and-coming film star who was murdered by the Charles Manson family. When I went to work on Hollywoodn't, I knew I didn't want it to do in Hollywood. That would just be too ass backwards. So, of course, New York City is the best place to tell this kind of story. New York has a very anti-Hollywood aesthetic, and it has a glamour all its own. So the stylist team did a great job of not just giving verbatim Hollywood looks. They really did these Mod Podge of contemporary fashions to convey vintage Hollywood. And another great thing about working in New York is I got to work with some of my friends, like Ren, who is a great designer who works with taxidermy and crystals and bones and makes fabulous witch jewelry, played the psychologist. Severely Mame played the reporter, who's a legendary classic horror drag queen here in New York City. And one of the other reporters was Sherman, my little Shermanelli, which I know a lot of fans of RuPaul's Drag Race recognize as the bass player who works for me, also Adore Delano, Courtney Act, Alaska, Thunderfuck 5000, and I know he gets a lot of trade on the road when he works with Adore. And the co-star who I think truly stole the show was Little Miss Belladonna, who played the role of Jane Mansfield, Chihuahua, who is fortunate enough to live with Miss Heidi Klum, Miles De Niro, another great legendary drag queen. And like Jane Mansfield, who's compared to Marilyn Monroe as being the dollar store version, Miles De Niro has once in a while has been called the poor man's Violet Chachki. So, well, thank you, killers. I hope you enjoy Hollywood.